So the book skipped around. It read different sections of 22 through 25. But I thought we'll just read the whole thing. It will make the whole story fit together a little bit better, I think. So I'll start reading. It's kind of a long section, but then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab, on the side of the Jordan across from Jericho. Now Balak the son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this company will lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field." And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at the time. Then he sent messengers to Balaam the son of Beor at Pethor, which is near the river, in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "Look, a people has come from Egypt. See, they cover the face of the earth and are settling next to me. Therefore, please come at once, curse this people for me, for they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed, with the diviner's fee in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spoke to him the words of Balak. And he said to them, "Lodge here tonight, and I will bring back word to you, as the Lord speaks to me." So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" So Balaam said to God, "Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent to me, saying, 'Look, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the face of the earth. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to overpower them and drive them out.' And God said to Balaam, 'You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed.' So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, 'Go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to give me permission to go with you.' And the princes of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, 'Balaam refuses to come with us.' Then Balak again sent princes more numerous and more honorable than they, and they came to Balaam and said to him, 'Thus says Balak the son of Zippor, please let nothing hinder you from coming to me, for I will certainly honor you greatly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Therefore, please come curse this people for me.' Then Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, 'Though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Now therefore, please you also stay here tonight, that I may know what more the Lord will say to me.' And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, 'If the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do.' So Balaam rose in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. Then God's anger was aroused because he went, and the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. And he was riding on his donkey, and his two servants were with him. Now the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck her again. Then the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place, where there was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. So Balaam's anger was aroused, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, 'What have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times?' And Balaam said to the donkey, 'Because you have abused me. I wish there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill you.' So the donkey said to Balaam, 'Am I not your donkey, on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever disposed to do this to you?' And he said, 'No.' Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, Why had you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to stand against you, because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, surely I would have killed you by now and let her live. But Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displeases you, I will turn back. Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, Go with the men, but that you shall speak to Balaam went with. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. Now when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the border of Arnon, the boundary of the territory. Then Balak said to Balaam, Did I not earnestly send to you, calling for you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you? And Balaam said to Balak, Look, I have come to you now. Have I any power at all to say anything? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I must speak. So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath-Huzoth. Then Balak offered oxen and sheep, and sent some to Balaam and to the princes who were with him. So it was the next day that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high place of Baal, that from there he might observe the extent of the people. Then Balaam said to Balak, Build 7 altars for me here, and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams. And Balak did just as Balaam had spoken. And Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, Stand by your burnt offering, and I will go. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me, and whatever he shows me, I will tell you. So he went to a desolate height, and God met Balaam, and he said to him, I have prepared the 7 altars, and I have offered on each altar a bull and a ram. Then the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth, and said, Return to Balak, thus you shall speak. So he returned to him, and there he was, standing by his burnt offering, and he and all the princes of Moab. And he took up his oracle, and said, Balak the king of Moab has brought me from Aram, from the mountains of the east. Come, curse Jacob for me, and come, denounce Israel. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? How shall I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. There a people dwelling alone, not reckoning itself among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number 1/4 of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my end be like this. Then Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, and look, you have blessed them bountifully. So he answered and said, Must I not take heed and speak what the Lord has put in my mouth? Then Balak said to him, Please come with me to another place, from which you may see them. You shall see only the outer part of them, and shall not see them all. Curse them for me from there. So he brought him to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. And he said to Balak, Stand here by your burnt offering while I meet the Lord over there. Then the Lord met Balaam, and put a word in his mouth, and said, Go back to Balak, and thus you shall speak. So he came to him, and there he was, standing by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab were with him. And Balak said to him, What has the Lord spoken? Then he took up his oracle and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear. Listen to me, son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. Has he said, and will he not do? Or has he spoken, and will he not make it good? Behold, I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, I cannot reverse it. He has not observed iniquity in Jacob, nor has he seen wickedness in Israel. Lord, his God is with him, and the shout of a king is among them. God brings them out of Egypt. He has strength like a wild ox. For there is no sorcery against Jacob, nor any divination against Israel. It now must be said of Jacob and of Israel, Oh, what God has done! Look, a people rises like a lioness, and lifts itself up like a lion. It shall not lie down until it devours the prey, and drinks the blood of the slain. Then Balak said to Balaam, Neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. So Balaam answered and said to Balak, Did I not tell you, saying, All that the Lord speaks I must do? Then Balak said to Balaam, Please come, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God, that you may curse them for me from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, that overlooks the wasteland. Then Balaam said to Balak, build for me here 7 altars, and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had said, and he offered a bull and a ram on every altar. Now when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he did not go as at other times to seek to use sorcery, but he set his face towards the wilderness. And Balaam raised his eyes and saw Israel encamped according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. And he took up his oracle and said, the utterance of Balaam the son of Beor, the utterance of the man whose eyes are opened, the utterance of him who hears the words of God, who sees the visions of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes open. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. Like valleys that stretch out, like gardens by the riverside, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the water. He shall pour water from his buckets, and seeds shall be in many waters. His kings shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brings him out of Egypt. He has strength like a wild ox. He shall consume the nations, his enemies. He shall break their bones and pierce them with his arrows. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion who shall rouse him. Blessed is he who blesses you, and cursed is he who curses you. Then Balak's anger was aroused against Balaam, and he struck his hands together, and Balak said to him, I called you to curse my enemies, and look, you have bountifully blessed them these 3 times. Now therefore, flee to your place. I said I would greatly honor you, but in fact the Lord has kept you back from honor. So Balaam said to Balak, did I not also speak to your messengers whom you sent to me, saying, if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of the Lord, to do good or bad of my own will. What the Lord says, that I must speak. And now indeed I am going to my people. Come, I will advise you what this people will do to your people in the latter days. So he took up his oracle and said, the utterance of Balaam the son of Beor, and the utterance of the man whose eyes are opened, the utterance of him who hears the word of God, and has the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes wide open. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and batter the brow of Moab, and destroy all the sons of tumult. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also, his enemies, shall be a possession. While Israel does valiantly out of Jacob, one shall have dominion, and destroy the remains of the city. Then he looked at Amalek, and he took up his oracle and said, Amalek was first among the nations, but shall be last until he perishes. And he looked at the Kenites and took up his oracle and said, firm is your dwelling place, and your nest is set in the rock. Nevertheless, Cain shall be burned. And how long until Asher carries you away captive? Then he took up his oracle and said, alas, who shall live when God does this? But ships shall come from the coast of Cyprus, and they shall afflict Asher and afflict Eber, and also shall Amalek until he perishes. So Balaam rose and departed and returned to his place. Balak also went his way. Okay, go back to the beginning. Why was Balak so afraid of Israel? Yeah, and they had destroyed, I think, the Amalekites, and King Og and his country. Something that I thought was interesting, though, if we could read Deuteronomy 2:9.
The Lord said to me, do not press Moab, for dependence of battle, for I will not give you any of their days for possession, because I have given are the people of Lot for possession.
He was talking about Moab there. So should Balak have been afraid of Israel? No, he had nothing to worry about because God had told them not to attack Moab. Just kind of a side note, look what worrying about Israel got him. A lot of trouble, and they ended up killing him, which if he had just not worried about it, left him alone, they would have never taken his land. Okay, and then moving on, who is Balaam? I don't think so. I think he was a prophet of sorts that kind of, he knew God, but he also, I don't know if he also did things that weren't really what God wanted him to do a lot. A little bit mysterious on who this guy was. It doesn't sound like he was of Abraham's descendants at all, but he definitely knew God and he knew spirits, and apparently his curses carried a lot of weight with them. Yeah. Sorcerer, I kind of think of just like a witch doctor, but he obviously talked to God, and then he said a couple times, "The Lord my God." So it doesn't really say exactly who he is, but he was a spiritual man who did know God. Verse. Yeah, I think so. Verse 9, what did God say to Balaam when the men came to him? The men from Balak. Or, yeah, what did God say to him? First thing.
Anything that I don't say.
Yeah. Yeah, the very first thing, he just asked a simple question. Who are these guys? I kind of thought that was pretty interesting because it's God's way of making us think, is asking really simple questions. And I just had two verses where he does the same thing. One is Genesis 4:9. You read that one. Yeah, God knew who the men that were with Balaam were. He knew what happened to Cain's brother, but he just asked him a really simple question: "Where's your brother?" And it makes Cain very uncomfortable. And then another time, Matthew 21:23 through 25.
When he entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" Jesus answered them, "I will also ask you one question, and if you answer it for me, then I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Did John's baptism come from heaven, or was it of human origin?"
Thank you. There's a completely different context, but he uses the same kind of tactics. Just a simple question that makes you think really hard. Okay, now, did Balaam go with the men? Yeah, at first he didn't go. And why did he eventually go?
Because the Lord was there. He told him
that's not why he went, but that's why he stopped. Yeah, so he did go the second time. At first, God told him, don't go, and then God told him to go. And then what happened on the way? Tina just said it. There was an angel of the Lord, which when it says angel of the Lord, it's referring to the Lord or Jesus, who stood in the way with a sword and didn't let him go. So why did God say, don't go? Then he said, go. And then he stopped him from going. And then he let him go again. Did God change his mind? Is it that God can't decide what he wants Balaam to do? No, I don't think so, because it's interesting that in his prophecy where he's blessing Israel, he says, I think I had the verse. Oh, yeah. He just went to the men. Yeah. Well, I was kind of studying this because it did seem confusing that God was telling him to go and then not to go. In the prophecy, I thought I wrote it here, but it doesn't look like I did. He says in verse 19 of 22, God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. He has said he will do, or he has said, and will he not do? Or has he spoken, and will he not make it good? So in his prophecy, he says he doesn't change his mind, even though it might seem like he is right here. But I wanted to read 1 Samuel 16:7. I think that's one of the ones I handed out. Yeah.
But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not others as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart.
So I think God could see Balaam's heart. He said, say what I tell you to say. You could probably see his heart as he's riding along on his donkey. He's thinking, oh, I'm just going to curse him and get all this money. Why he sent his angel to stop him. And verse 20. Why do you think God used or had the whole incident with the donkey speaking to him? It's very unusual.
Like that his attention.
Yeah, it got his attention. He needed something very unusual to get his attention. And it seems like it changed his heart a little bit, at least. He says, after he struck the donkey and he spoke to him, and Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me, though therefore, if it displeases you, I will turn back. So it seems like he maybe realized that God saw that he was intending to curse Israel, even though he said not to. Sort of repents right there. Now, what did he do what did he do 4 times when he came and met with Balaam, or Balak? Yeah. Even if he'd wanted to curse Israel, he couldn't. And 4 times in 4 different places, they kept trying different situations or different spots to see if he could curse Israel, and he couldn't. Which is pretty interesting, too. If the Lord wants you to do something, that's what you're going to do. And I wanted to read 1 Samuel 19:21 through 23. Thank you. So it's kind of a similar situation. Saul is sending men to kill David, and every time they go, the Spirit of the Lord comes upon them and they prophesy. And he finally goes himself to kill David, and the Spirit of the Lord comes upon him and he prophesies. So it's just proof that if the Lord is having you do something, you can't go against it. Everything is the will of the Lord. Okay, and then in this one, his last prophecy, chapter 24, verse 15 through 19. I just wanted to read it again because it's kind of poetic sounding, and it's kind of beautiful words. The utterance of Balaam the son of Beor, and the utterance of the man whose eyes are opened, the utterance of him who hears the word of God and has the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes wide open. I see him, but not now, and I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and batter the brow of Moab, and destroy all the sons of tumult. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also, his enemies, shall be a possession. While Israel does valiantly, out of Jacob one shall have dominion and destroy the remains of the city. So what is he talking about here? What does he see? He sees Jesus. He sees him, a star come out of Jacob, a scepter that shall rise out of Israel. He sees, he says, I see one, but not now. Behold him, but not near. He sees way far ahead, like 4,000 years, give or take some, into the future, at what is going to come. And I think he's probably speaking a little bit about David too, which David is a example of Jesus. So he's talking about both Jesus and David in there. It's one of the first really plain prophecies of Jesus in the Bible. It's just really easy to see this one, and it's kind of neat. I wanted to read Ruth 4:10 and 17. So it's just a pretty neat connection there that these are the Moabites that is asking Balaam to curse Israel. And Ruth is the great-grandmother of David, the ancestor of Jesus, earthly ancestor of Jesus, who was a Moabitist from this country. It doesn't really have any application, but it's just pretty neat how God works that way. Okay, moving to chapter 25. I will read 1 through 10. Now Israel remained in Acacia Grove, and the people began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab. They invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. So Israel was joined to Baal of Peor, and the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before the Lord out in the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel." So Moab said to the judges of Israel, "Every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal of Peor." And indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Now when Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her body. So the plague was stopped among the children of Israel, and those who died in the plague were 24,000. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. I'll stop there. Okay. This was kind of out of place. Oh, this verse was kind of out of place, but could we read? Someone have a verse in Revelation? Could you read that one? No. Okay, so it doesn't say it outright in this chapter right here, but all the way in Revelation, we kind of find out what Balaam did. It sounds like Balaam probably got his money from Balak. And how was that? Yeah, it wasn't by cursing, but it was his advice. And what was his advice? It says there in 25, they invited the people to the sacrifice of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods, and began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab. So he knew some things about God, Balaam did, and he knew some things about the men of Israel. And he simply gave Balak some advice. Hey, invite them to your sacrifice. Have a bunch of women there. And this is what God told them not to do. And verse 9, those who died in the plague were 24,000. That sounds like one Midianite woman got killed. But would that be considered a victory think of it as a battle. One Midianite woman, 24,000 of the Israelites died. I think Moab kind of won the victory here. It wasn't through a curse that made them win their battle. It was simply by this offering temptation and Balaam knew God's rules and what God would likely do if his people broke those rules. Okay, I'm going to go a little farther and then I have some application for us from this. Read chapter 31 of Numbers 15 through 17. And Moses said to them, "Have you kept all the women alive? Look, these women caused the children of Israel, through the counsel of Balaam, to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor, and there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man intimately, but keep alive for yourself all the young girls who may have not known a man intimately, and as for you, remain outside the camp 7 days." So what did Israel do after the attack on Moab? Which, a side note, when they attacked Moab, they killed Balaam. But what did they do after they attacked? They took all the women, which seems like a normal thing to do. You don't go kill a bunch of women. That's pretty nasty. And then what did Moses tell them to do? He basically said, kill all the women. Was this cruel and wrong and terrible of Moses? Yeah, that's right. He said they killed every male. Yeah. Is that what we're supposed to do? No, but in a way, yes. Let's read Matthew 5:29. Okay, so this is Jesus talking to us, and Israel back then is kind of a picture, an example of a Christian today. Like a whole nation is pictured now as one person. But it's just, he's saying, take drastic measures to get rid of sin and temptation. And their day, they killed all the women. Today, I mean, he's not saying literally, but he's trying to prove the point. It's worth doing something drastic, something that seems crazy. That's, I think, the application for this from our life, for our life. If it takes plucking out your eye to get rid of the sin in your life, pluck out your eye. Not literally, but, if you have to get rid of a friend, get rid of a job, something like that, that's really causing you to struggle, just do it. In their day, it was kill all the women that were causing their temptation after idols and immorality. Okay, so that is the end of what I had going through this section. Let's go through the questions in the book. Question 1. What had Israel done to the Amorites? And this is, I think, to prove why Balak, the king of the Moabites, was so afraid and destroyed them. It says in Numbers 21, 21 through 25. We can read that. Thank you. So that's kind of explaining why Balak was so afraid of Israel. He didn't know that God had told them not to attack his country. He just saw what they did to the Amorites and was afraid. Question 2. Did Balaam have a conscience about cursing Israel? I don't know if he actually did. I think he would have done it. If God hadn't told him anything, he would have happily cursed Israel and taken the money, is what it appears like from his actions. It doesn't outright say, but it seems like he loved money. Because of what he did later, he told Balak how to bring about Israel's downfall. It kind of proves that he didn't care about God's people. Question 3. What involvement did Balaam have with the sin at Baal Peor? I think his involvement was he advised them to invite the Israelites to their heathen sacrificing and harlotry, it says. So I think that kind of also proves his guilt about if he had a conscience about cursing Israel. I think that was earlier than this. That was when they're first trying to get him to come curse. Question 5. Because of their sin, God smote Israel with a plague. What stopped the plague? And that's in chapter 25, verse 7 through 11. Yeah, so this man and woman just openly sinning, obviously the wrong thing to do before everyone, and Phinehas just went in there and killed them both. And what can we learn from that? We kind of already talked about it a little bit. What can we learn from that? Yeah, kill it. Kill the sin in your life. It's not worth it. Just run in there and get it out like Phinehas did. So a kind of a closing thought. You ever heard of the curse of sin? So what was far worse for Israel than Balaam's curse? The sin he tempted them with. So I think rather than being afraid of any curse in our lives, be afraid of sin and take drastic means to get it out of your life. And that is the end. Peter, could you close with prayer?